Hey guys, you miss Lawrence O'Donnell? I got you covered. Let's go.
Well, absolutely no one in the world was surprised today when the most corrupt president in history agreed to the biggest payoff in history. And because he is the stupidest president in history, he agreed to that payoff from a Hamas supporting dictator publicly. And to double underline his stupidity, he publicly said that only a stupid person, that was actually his phrase, a stupid person, would refuse to take the biggest payoff in history from a Hamas supporting dictator. The biggest payoff is literally physically the biggest, the largest 747 that Boeing makes. It is owned by the Emir of Qatar, who wants to just give it to Donald Trump as a gift, just a gift from one person who has no idea about any of the words written in the Constitution of the United States to an American president with a severe case of constitutional dementia. The founders of the United States of America specifically imagined this very scenario before they could imagine anyone other than birds actually flying. Not, the plain version of the scenario, but the other version of the scenario, the gift version. In the Constitution that Donald Trump and the Emir of Qatar have never read, it says that the president absolutely cannot, quote, accept any present emolument, office, or title of any kind whatever from any king, prince, or foreign state. Okay, they didn't specifically say an emir, but king and emir are both four-letter words meaning exactly the same kind of guy. Donald Trump will probably back down on this particular insanity in the same way that he backed down on his tariffs today. And so the Supreme Court of the United States might never have to tell Donald Trump that, no, you can't take a 747 from anybody. Reports indicate that the payoff talks have been underway for several weeks. And so that means that every single day, Donald Trump was telling what he called baby girls who are 11 years old. That was his actual description of a baby girl 11 years old. He said that. He was telling those baby girls that they can only have two dolls for Christmas because of his tariffs. Every day, Donald Trump was saying that crazy stuff about two dolls. He was secretly working out the delivery of the biggest Christmas gift in the history of Christmas gifts to himself. Donald Trump said one true thing about the biggest payoff in history today. He said, I appreciate it very much. And I'm so sure that he really does appreciate it. And then he said something the whole world knew already. He said, quote, I would never be one to turn down that kind of an offer. Yeah, we know. That's the problem. That's one of the many reasons you are not morally qualified to be president of the United States. We know you would never turn down that kind of offer. ABC News reports Donald Trump got his completely unqualified and incompetent Attorney General Pam Bondi to write a letter to his completely unqualified and incompetent Secretary of Defense saying that the Defense Department could accept the aircraft as a gift and convert it for use as Air Force One. And then, just when Donald Trump would need to use it as a private citizen, the Defense Department could just give it to Donald Trump's presidential library. And all that means is that Donald Trump wants to keep riding in a private 747 when he's no longer president. That's what this is all about. It's about what's he going to fly in after he's president. How does Donald Trump get a free, ultra fancy 747, literally fit for a king, to fly around in the final years of his life when he's no longer president? Giving up your private 747 is one of the harder things about leaving the presidency, and Donald Trump does not want to suffer that indignity again. And so he has reached into the kindness well, deep in the heart of the Emir of Qatar. And this time, the Emir, instead of doling out money to Hamas to support Hamas, has decided to support Donald Trump, to support Donald Trump's lifestyle. It is every bit as filthy an arrangement as it sounds like. Senator Bernie Sanders said, I don't know who needs to hear this, but no, Donald Trump cannot accept a $400 million flying palace from the royal family of Qatar. Not only is this farcically corrupt, it is blatantly unconstitutional. Congress must not allow this over-the-top kleptocracy to proceed. The customization of that 747-800 made it probably worth much more than $400 million at delivery, and the Defense Department would have to spend hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars, possibly billions, to convert that plane into possible use as an Air Force One substitute. The plane has none of the presidential level communication capacities that Air Force One has. It does not have the mini hospital and surgical center that Air Force One has. And it might never be possible to assure the integrity of that airplane because it has not been in the custody of the United States government since its birth, as every previous Air Force One aircraft has been. Garrett Graff writes, to even begin to mitigate that risk from an eavesdropping, tracking, cybersecurity, or sabotage standpoint would involve stripping the plane down to the equivalent of the studs. And today's planes offer a lot of opportunities for hiding things, even before you get into talking about physical vulnerabilities or tracking devices. Trump's been known to be interested in this plane since he reviewed it at Palm Beach in February. So it's not even merely the friendly intelligence services of Qatar that we should be concerned about. Every friendly and adversary intelligence service worth its salt surely has been looking for months now to get aboard that plane. And that plane is currently conveniently residing for everyone to inspect at the non-secure public airport in San Antonio, Texas. There it is. There are currently two fully functioning, identical 747s serving as Air Force One. Boeing is significantly behind on a contract to deliver two new ones. That contract was initiated during Donald Trump's first presidency. Donald Trump boasted about the genius of that contract and how no one else could have possibly negotiated the deal for Boeing to build two new versions of Air Force One, even though several previous presidents had ordered new versions of Air Force One for 70 years or so. The current perfectly good versions of Air Force One are actually the same age as Donald Trump's personal plane, which was 20 years old when Donald Trump bought it because he could not afford a new Boeing aircraft. The 747 that Donald Trump wants to take from the main funder of Hamas is already 13 years old. It's not going to happen. This payoff is as ugly and stupid as it looks, and it is totally illegal. But it offers a perfect companion piece to Donald Trump's two dolls declaration for Christmas. American kids can only have two Barbies at most. But Donald Trump, at the very same time, when he was telling American kids they can only have two dolls, very same time he was doing that, he was having discussions to get himself the most expensive private plane in the world for nothing. Donald Trump has just spent months telling Americans they have to sacrifice because of his tariffs. Donald Trump has told Americans they have to pay higher prices because of his tariffs. Donald Trump has told little girls they have to accept that they're going to have less for Christmas because of his tariffs. And Donald Trump has told small business operators that when they go out of business because of his tariffs, America will be better and stronger because of it. And he was trying to negotiate a free plane for himself that whole time. Biggest plane in the world. Wall Street proved today just how stupid they think Donald Trump is. The stock market skyrocketed today when Donald Trump completely reversed himself and surrendered to China in the trade war that Donald Trump started. Now, think about why the stock market went down so badly because of the Trump tariffs, and then why it came rocketing back as soon as Donald Trump removed the biggest tariffs today. It's because they believe Donald Trump is irreversibly stupid. Now, I don't study the stock market. I never think about it. Like most people, I have some retirement money that's floating in the stock market in some fund. It has been for years. When Donald Trump terrified the stock market with his tariff and panic selling filled the trading days, I did absolutely nothing with whatever I have in the stock market because I always knew Donald Trump was going to surrender. I always knew that the person who started the trade war was going to end the trade war because it was going to become politically impossible for Donald Trump to continue the trade war. And that's exactly what happened. So whatever I was holding in the stock market in December, and I genuinely don't know what really is in that fund. It's a retirement fund. I don't pay any attention to it. I ended up doing the smartest thing you could do during the Trump stock market crash, which was to do absolutely nothing. The stock market crash was created by one person, and I always knew it was going to be reversed by the decision of that one person to just give up. But Wall Street actually believed that Donald Trump is so irreversibly stupid that he was going to continue the tariffs no matter what. That's what the panic selling was about. Wall Street actually believed Donald Trump is so irreversibly stupid that he was going to do what he said he was going to do. And they knew that if Donald Trump did what he said he was going to do, that would destroy the economy, destroy the stock market. The stock market rocketing back up today was not some kind of vote of confidence in Donald Trump. It was a statement about just how stupid they thought he was. Last week, they thought he was so stupid that the stock market was scary. Turned out Monday, not as stupid as they thought he was. Stock market was shocked to discover that Donald Trump was not as stupid as they thought he was, because that's what they discovered today. Donald Trump did exactly what I've always said he was going to do. The stock market was shocked. He gave up and they were shocked. And they were thrilled. So they went on a buying spree today, driving up the price of basically everything. The New York Times reports, quote, "It remains to be seen what agreements can be reached in future negotiations, but the talks this weekend and the tariff chaos of the past month did not appear to generate any other immediate concessions from the Chinese other than a commitment to keep talking." That's right. The Chinese government offered Donald Trump zero, and Donald Trump took it. Donald Trump said, okay, zero is good enough for me to drop the tariffs. And so now the pointless and illegal Trump tariffs on Chinese products are down to 30% from the insane 145%. 30% is still a crazy level. It's a big enough tariff to kill American businesses and to make toys too expensive for parents this Christmas and to kill jobs in this country. The Yale Budget Lab says that the average cost of the tariffs per household are still going to be $2,800. The Wall Street Journal editorial board writes tonight, rarely has an economic policy been repudiated as soundly and as quickly as President Trump's Liberation Day tariffs, and by Trump's own hand. Witness the agreement Monday morning to scale back his punitive tariffs on China, his second major retreat in less than a week. As with last week's modest British agreement, the China deal is more surrender than victory. So after weeks of market turmoil, the economy is left with higher trade costs and greater uncertainty for business. CNBC's Brian Sullivan gave voice to that uncertainty.
But while we're feeling good, and we should today, it's Monday and the markets are up, so why not feel good, Tom? We're just one tweet or Truth Social post or headline away from maybe another market collapse. Isn't it important for your clients and our viewers and listeners to always accept that reality that one hallmark of this administration is that you could get one person saying one thing and then a few hours later or next day, somebody else saying something else. If the president says, well, China's not negotiating in good faith and we're walking away, I mean, there's a 1,000-point drop.
In a piece on Substack titled, "When an Arsonist Poses as a Firefighter," Nobel Prize-winning economist Paul Krugman writes, a 30% tariff is still really, really high, especially combined with the 10% tariff we're imposing on everyone else. This wasn't a case of both sides backing down. China only imposed its tariffs as a response to Trump's gambit and has reduced them only because he retreated, and retreat he did. This was basically Trump running away from the killer rabbit. The prohibitive tariff has been paused, not canceled. Nobody knows what will happen in 90 days. The uncertainty level has arguably gone up rather than down. This retreat probably hasn't come soon enough to avoid high prices and empty shelves. The Chamber of Commerce, which has always been a supporter of Republican economic policy before Donald Trump, said, while any agreement that reduces tariffs is good news, it is important to note that even with this China agreement, tariffs are much higher overall than they were at the beginning of the year, and many businesses, especially small businesses, are dealing with growing costs, and disruptions. Okay. Dear Wall Street, I have a message for you. Write this down. The 90-day pause that Donald Trump announced today is going to last forever. Don't worry, he's not going to bring back the crazy skyrocketing tariffs. Yes, he's very, very, very stupid, but not as stupid as all you people on Wall Street think he is.
All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed the great Lawrence O'Donnell once again. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I ask you guys to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Thank you.